Pete and Reed just hanging around Studio J1. We really had nothing to do today. I called you up. I said, hey, why don't you come down? We should watch one of our favorite interviews.
Yeah,
and it really is one of our favorite interviews.
It is.
Right? We'll tell you it's a musician.
Yeah.
A really talented musician.
Very.
Right?
Yeah.
Who has done some amazing things. He's done some good rock and roll stuff that made it right across North America.
With his band, unbelievable.
Helping a lot of young people right now, and he is doing some faith work. And he even sings on the show, and this is the first time, right?
It's the first time anybody's ever heard this song.
It's an original, and you'll hear it right here on the Pete and Reed Show. So we came in and thought, you know what? We're going to watch it. You might as well sit and watch it. We'll sit with you at the same time. We'll watch the show. But tell him a few things that was going on.
Well,
when he was born.
When he was born. The year he was born, it was 28 cents for a gallon of gas.
28
cents.
That seems like must have been a long time ago.
$12,500 for a house. 32 cents for eggs. Spider-Man came out that year. Mm-hmm. The Beverly Hillbillies, Dick Van Dyke, and the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson started that night.
And I believe Walmart and Kmart, that year. Came out at the same time too.
Exactly. And speaking of musicians, the Beatles and Bob Dylan all started in this year.
Do you think they had any influence on him?
I would think so.
Possibly. Well, you know what? We're going to kick back. Have some Elixir from the Pete and Reed Show, and watch
more than one.
Yeah, watch it with you guys.
Probably.
So enjoy. We are talking to Ray Lyle, a Canadian singer who made it big, even into the U.S., which is a tough thing to do, right?
Singer, songwriter extraordinaire, vocal coach. I mean, he's done it all.
He's doing it all. Now, you know, when you go back to the bands, we were talking about Helix and Flood and you guys. I mean, there was a lot more bands of that type playing their own music, along with some cover stuff, but mostly playing their own stuff, and they became fat. You don't see that anymore. Why is that?
Well, I don't think you have a lot of live dates anymore. I mean, they've kind of dwindled down, but back then, there was this thing that it didn't count unless it was your own song.
Yeah.
And today, I think you have a lot of beat makers. We're going to take this, we're going to borrow this, we're going to borrow this riff, and kind of more putting things together. Where back then it was from scratch. I mean, you would have to think of the most original chord progression, which probably couldn't be done, but we thought we did. But it didn't count unless it was yours.
Right.
And what was your first big time when you walked on, there was a big crowd, and you went, now this is where I wanted to be?
Well, the biggest crowd, the very first crowd that we ever really played to, which was huge, it was a bar called the Coronet in Kitchener, and it was a huge bar, about 1,200 people. And it was the first time we ever played. And I remember someone talking to my guitar player after and saying, "Man, I really feel sorry for your singer." And he says, "Well, why?" He says, "Well, how can he sing like that? He's cross-eyed." I'm going, "What do you mean?" I was so stinking nervous. I was staring at the mic like this. And songs that were supposed to be 60, 70 beats a minute were 340. We did an hour set in 10 minutes.
Couldn't rush through it. That's funny.
But yeah, we were really nervous.
Was there one time that you can remember that, or did you guys do like something, rituals before you went out on stage, or was there one of your band members that did something every time before they went out on stage?
Well, most bands, as you know, especially in the 80s and early 90s, most bands, they'd be drinking backstage or whatever before they go on stage. We were eating. And we were half of our band was Italian. We were stuffing our faces before we went out.
Carving up.
Yeah, we'd get on stage.
Didn't that slow you down though?
Oh yeah, we blew showcases and everything because we were up on stage just so lethargic.
You ever forget words?
All the time. I still do.
Yeah.
I still do. You know what's really funny is I remember I was singing, and I remember this is the opening night of our second album, and I'm singing Gypsy Wind, and somebody from the crowd starts singing with me, and they start singing the wrong words. They start singing the second verse first, and I'm singing the second verse with them, right? Now I got nowhere to go, right? And they didn't care. But yeah, I always forget words. That's always been a big fear of mine.
Some people say that. So did you just make it up if you forget them?
Oh yeah.
Just make up something?
When we first started writing songs, we were so excited to play our own originals. We never had any words. We got up and just made up words on the spot. And
so every time you played it, it was different words?
Yep. There was no. I mean, it was.
There
We
was-
were just right. We just people didn't hear that.
Just
Guitar riffs.
crank up the guitar.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's
We,
funny.
we didn't even have names for them. We called original number 1, original number 2, original number 3.
Oh.
And that would mess us all up because I'd be starting 4 thinking it was 5, and
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So now you borrowed your brother's guitar and you learned how to play, and then what about singing? Did you have that naturally? Did you
No,
think you
I didn't want to sing. I remember my dad used to have a Fina station at Parkdale and Burlington Street, and we would. I was the manager of the station. I was only like 15, but I was the manager of the station, and the criteria to be hired is you have to play bass or drums or sing. But we never got a singer, so we'd be going up and down to the hoist, playing. We had kids from the neighborhood. Nobody would sing. Finally, we said, okay, if we're gonna get out playing, somebody's got to sing, and I drew the short straw. I didn't want to sing. I just wanted to play, right? But we had Russ Wilson, who was in Junkhouse, who's the bass player of Junkhouse, was part of our band back then, and he's got a fantastic voice, but he wouldn't sing. So
Yeah.
Really? Why?
I
Did you
just I don't know. I'm not. It wasn't cool, right?
Really?
Well, it wasn't cool back then. Your
Yeah.
guitar musician was cool, but actually,
Well,
singing
usually
wasn't cool.
I thought back then that the front guy, the singer, was the front man, so they got all the girls.
Yeah, if you were
and all the
good.
attention. True. We're going to hold you there and find out if you were good. Apparently you were, because look at your career when we come back on the Pete and Reed Show.
I saw a man lying in the street, asking for a helping hand. He said, anyone got any sympathy for a drunken man? But all the people, they just walked on through, and he said, ain't nobody ever understands. Just maybe if you all were in my shoes, then you'd see why I'm the way I am. Someone helped him to his feet. I heard him say desperately, carry me, 'cause I can't make it on my own. Carry me back home.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Pete and Reed Show. I am enjoying this interview a whole bunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, your voice is unique, but it also has bits and pieces of all kinds of people. And for me, I would say that that's probably a tough thing to do, not to be cracking or missing a note as you're singing. And of course, when you started, right, there was no way to cover it. There was no pitching or nothing. What was there was there. Right?
No,
Yep.
and there was a lot of cracking and missing notes.
So who were your influences then?
Oh, I grew up on Elton John, the Eagles, Doobie Brothers are one of my favorite
Love the
bands.
Doobies.
Yeah, I remember seeing them at the CNA. They were fantastic. Actually, Beach Boys. I used to love Beach Boys.
Yeah.
My brothers were from the 50s and early 60s, so a lot of the 50s music, the 45s I would listen to every day. Bobby Curtola, all the
Oh, yes.
Bobby Curtola, yeah. He used
Wow.
to come to the falls all the time, Bobby Curtola.
Yeah, he just passed away not long ago.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Nice.
so that all that stuff I grew up on, and but I think two of my favorite artists were definitely Elton John and the Eagles.
I'm with you on that.
Favorite instrument you've ever owned?
Favorite instrument?
Yeah.
Well, I've been a guitar player, but I'm not one of these guys that let's talk about gear, man. I'm just I really don't care. But I played a lot of different guitars. I think that acoustic guitar I like by Taylor the best, but
I love
Yeah.
you right now.
that white
my
guitar over
favorite.
there that has probably done close to 2,000 or 3,000 concerts, and it's been all over the world, and it's.
It's your baby.
I don't say it's my baby. It's just kind of like something that reminds me of where I've been.
Yeah,
That's
I
excellent.
think the great thing with you too is that did you do a lot of the arrangement? I know you wrote the song. Did you do the arrangement, or was it something you banded together?
Yeah, I had a hand in a lot of the arrangements. Depends on which album you're talking about, but we had the last 2 albums I did most of the arrangements, and the first 2 I had a lot of hand in it.
Yeah, because you would use banjos, harmonicas,
Oh, yeah.
accordions, and everything else in between.
That's
and
right.
It just came up with this great sound.
Full.
And it was the stuff I love from you. It's country rock, a little Eagles, but not and something else besides. It was like everything mixed in one, but it had a great sound to it.
Yeah, I always love instruments, so it's music's music to me. I don't know why we got to restrict it.
Yeah.
Well, if you use pedal steel, that's country. Why? That's just silly. That's just
Yeah.
marketing crap, right?
Yeah, so true.
I think nowadays everybody's kind of following everybody, right?
Yeah, I think the internet has, in some ways, has done music wonders. In some ways, it's killed the marketing because nobody makes money at music anymore.
Yeah.
That income that you talked about hasn't changed much in 62 now.
Yeah.
But in that ways, it's not been so good. But in the ways of creativity and getting out there and putting yourself on YouTube and promoting yourself, I mean,
Right.
it's never been better.
Your favorite song that you feel is a full good song that you wrote?
That I wrote?
Yeah.
Wow.
The most complete for you.
I don't know if I have one of those, but I had a song on my second album that was a dedication to my uncle, who had gone through the war, and he was in Argyll from the Scottish Regiment, and the song's called "One for the Old Guard." Mm-hmm. And what happened was when I was little, he used to always want me to join the military, and I can't even make a bed, right? There's no way.
I'm failing. Shining my shoes, that's out.
So me growing hair and getting on the road was not what he had in mind. But when I was little, he wanted to inspire me, so he took me to Ottawa, and we'd watch the changing of the guard. So we'd be in the motel, and he'd wake me up in the morning, and be going, "Old Guard!" And I'd go through the roof. So we called him the Old Guard, and he called me the New Guard. And
wow.
So when I wrote that song, "One for the Old Guard," that's probably my favorite.
But you've had, I mean, many hit songs. "Carry Me," one of the songs I absolutely love. And
Now, there's a lot
I
of
love that
unique
song,
stories with Carry Me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. Every year I get, well, not every year, but pretty close. When it starts getting airplay, I know it because I start getting emails in saying, I was about to take my life and that song stopped me. And this is just, there's just story upon story upon story of.
it's got to be so inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring and scary, because you realize that the power that a musician has in the writing,
Absolutely.
how much you're influencing people. I remember just doing something for the conservatory one time, just a little promo for them up in Toronto. I got up and played some Doobie Brothers songs, and this kid came up and we were talking, and I've been showing him some guitar stuff, and then I get a letter like 6 months later saying, "My son was on the verge of suicide because you took that time with him and showed him the stuff. He's right into this different kind of music. He's learning guitar."
Wow.
And you just don't know, right? You don't know the influences that you have. That's why it's
Yeah, no,
scary.
I'm glad you brought that up, because if you look at people like Britney Spears, who's made the comments, and you've got Bieber and other people saying, "I'm just an act. Nobody's copying me or thinking this is what I'm supposed to do," and they're so wrong about that,
it is
because they are, they're trying to be who these people are and doing
That's
the
right.
same things they're
Yeah.
doing.
That's right.
And that song, I probably when you wrote it, you didn't think it was going to have that kind of effect.
I did not. And when I got the first email, I mean, back then I was not a religious man at all, right? And when I got the first email, the first thing was saying, "I see you have the touch of God on you, and you need to help me." And I just went, "Whoa!" In fact, it wasn't an email. We didn't have an email back then, but
Yeah.
it was just just a letter. And I didn't know how to answer that. I just went, what do I do with this?
Well, we're going to find out more about what you're doing now and more of that coming
Sure.
back on the Pete and Reed Show with Mr. Ray Lyle.
One summer night I was standing alone. I could feel the presence of another man's gun right behind me. How did she find me? Well, I turned around to see her standing there. The dark colored eyes was the same as her hair, and she told me that I looked so lonely.
We are talking to Ray Lyle on the Pete and Reed Show with my squeaky chair. I'm trying to be good. It's hard for me not to move.
Hard to sit
Yeah,
still.
that's not the church you diet.
That's what my wife has been telling me.
Excuse that.
You need to lose that. I said, but it's taken so long to build it.
Generations. Oh.
Now, working with a partner, you had a great band. You really did. And
Yep.
pretty much still
Still
together.
do.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, because to work together in broadcasting, to have a co-host like Rita, if it flows naturally, it's because it's the magic and there's chemistry there and it works. You can't just throw anybody sit in a chair and go, hey, I can work together. Now you had Paula Tessero, who was working. Your vocals together when you were harping is absolutely perfect and beautiful.
Yeah, we blended well together. And funny because when I wrote "Carry Me," I didn't write it in that key. I wrote it in a key that was comfortable for me. And I thought, but I gotta have something for Paula to do. And so I upped the key, and then when she hit the chorus, I went, wow, okay, there we go. That's where it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. So I want to know what's going on in your life now. I know you've started helping kids, and I think that's important for people to know what you're doing now.
Right.
And why that happened.
Yeah.
Well, about 9 years ago, I came to Dunnville. When we were living in Hamilton, I came to Dunnville, and we'd gone through a rough time with the studio, and you know, always faith has been a big part of my life and later in life. And about 9 years ago, we're coming through Dunnville, and we saw a place called the Youth Impact Center. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go in there and volunteer and maybe teach guitar to kids. I thought, give something back, you know. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the kids, and I just realized there's you know, I never thought about this, but when I was young, hope wasn't something that we always had. It wasn't something that we thought should be treasured. It was just something that
because you had everything and everything.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, we didn't have much,
Yeah.
but I never thought of, you know, well, this is what I'd like to do. It can't happen. But when I started meeting kids that said, what does that word mean? I don't know what that word even means. I thought, wow, that's poverty. That's extreme poverty. And so I wanted to work with the young kids. So I got a job working with the Youth Impact Center for a while, and then later on I was brought in as a part-time missionary with our church, and that's what I do now. And I just work with a lot of youth at risk and families in crisis, and just kind of helping people realize their potential, realize their dreams. And
Is there any time that it really upsets you that you're like, I don't think I'm reaching that kid, or
all the time.
you know?
I mean, there's probably more upsets than there is successes, right? The thing that drives you crazy is, and what I would like to see someday, if I ever won a lottery, is I'd like to see a youth camp where you could bring people there for 1 or 2 years, educate them, get them out of their environment. Because I find that when you take them out of their environment, you make such a difference. As soon as they go back to that environment, that's the challenge, right?
They got to be
Yeah.
taught there, right?
They're not out of it long enough, right?
Right.
And that to me is really important. But yeah, it's very frustrating, very frustrating.
Now, when you're on the road playing in a band, obviously tough to have faith, right? Especially back in the 70s and 80s. It's pretty
Yeah,
tough.
I don't think it even entered my mind back then
Yeah.
as much, But when you start realizing that, when that stuff drizzles away, and you're left alone, and then you start thinking, what is life really about? What is everybody says truth is relative. Well, that statement itself blows itself up.
Yeah.
Because that's a truth claim, right? Right? So, I mean, truth is not relative. There is truth. And it's not something that I've been blind faith where I just turn around and I go, okay, I just think I'm going to believe in this. It's, I researched it a lot. And I believe that what I believe is true.
Yeah. I think, too, that all along, if you look at your music, it was already there. Carry Me, it was there, okay? Another Man's Gun, it was in there as well. So I think all along you were just kind of being guided.
building
Yeah.
it.
I would agree.
Great.
So what's in the future?
What I'm doing right now is I'm still writing music, but I'm continuing to speak into people's lives and try to work with them. I'm also working on a transitional church, which is going to be online.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be online in a small group setting. So it'll be online. It can be aired anywhere, and we're going to encourage wherever it's aired to have small groups and talk about what we talked about with the small groups. So it's kind of like a interaction church, but also a church that's going to bridge from the street to normal Sunday. Because Sunday you bring people into a normal church service, and it's like, whew,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most uncomfortable things, and I'm a professional singer, but one of the most uncomfortable things is walking into a church and standing there singing with a guy you don't know beside you, with words that you just see, and you don't know the song,
Yeah.
So why are we asking people to do that sometimes? I mean, that's great for us.
Yeah.
But when we're bringing someone that is really seeking to find truth into that situation, I think we're asking a little too much of them.
I find people too are a little bit lazy, and it's like, oh, Sunday morning, really?
Yeah.
Do I have to get out of bed?
I know.
Really? Whereas if it's online, it's right there. You could have it on your phone.
Oh, I mean, when I was
You
on the
know.
road, I didn't even know there was 2 7 o'clocks.
Yeah, it's so true, right?
Now, I know you're a vocal coach, and you said something I thought was really, really amazing. And when you were teaching, you were saying to people, look, don't come here and learn if you think you're going to become rich and famous. Come here if you want to get the music out of you. And I thought that is so key, because I am a person who can't sing, but the music is in here. And that's why I got into be a radio
got the
announcer.
music in you.
Oh yeah. I fired more students than I actually kept because they were in it for the wrong reason. I just couldn't take that. I remember having one young girl, and she says, there was this show, I can't remember the name. It was like a YTV Canadian Idol kind of thing, and I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, she wanted to go on, and I guess she went to the first audition, and she got past that. And her parents were going to take a trip around the world or somewhere overseas, and they were going to cancel it so that if she got on. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. I said, even if you make it through, I said, well, then what? I said, you're passing up a dream of a lifetime for 15 minutes of fame,
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't care, I just want to be famous. I says, no, that's the wrong attitude, right?
It is.
Because even if you are famous for that 15 minutes, it's gonna be over.
It'll be gone
Yeah.
one day. Yeah.
Let's just go have fun,
See, I know you guys
Enjoy it.
you're both singers, right? But I know when I sing in the shower where nobody can hear me, there's a release, because it's
Oh,
the music.
I
I
love
think
it.
the music is in all of us. I really do.
I believe so too. I think music is very powerful. Even younger, when I was in my teens or even earlier than that, when I'm sitting with the headphones on, and what kid didn't back then?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Listening.
That was
to
the
music
coolest
and-
thing ever, and
Definitely.
as loud as possible, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I got
Well,
hearing aids now.
That's
What?
why you bought a car, was just if the stereo was
Oh,
good,
yeah.
right? That's how my first car, I got in, didn't care if it ran, even crank up the stereo. Did it work?
Yep. that
I'm
was
good.
It. That was it.
Nowadays, you can hear the bass 5 cars
Oh.
back. It's
Oh
just-
yeah, definitely.
You're gonna have some deaf people.
We're showing our age now. Well, I think we need to let Ray play something.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You gonna sing "Carry Me" with me?
I will try. I don't know if I can today.
Oh,
Are the
I got a
words
sore
here?
throat today. I don't know if I can, but
Yeah, could you do it? I mean, it's good because your last name is Carey, right?
oh jeez,
Works
no
out.
pressure. Show me the key.
I'm sure you can
We'll
do it.
talk.
I'm sure you can do it. My tailor had a broken string, just broken before you came.
Ah.
So only got system.
Yeah. So when we come back, you guys are gonna put it together.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
try.
sing a little harmony.
Dark night out on the highway, you could feel a hearted wind blow. In this cold Texas night, hit me like a snake bite as I drove on down the road. And I remember a strange kind of silence as my thoughts could almost be heard. She knew what we had made was breaking away, and her heart had spoke louder than words. The tears she would cry, like a half-past symphony, but both things would soon get burned. She cried, don't.
We are talking to Ray Lyle on the Pete and Reed Show, and of course, you two were going to sing, and you've been practicing, rehearsing. They were going to let me in. I'm unfortunately, I can only sing in the key of J, he doesn't know how to play the key of J. She can't sing in it, so I'm out.
No.
I'm the odd man out.
I'm out too. Cold, not happening today.
You know, the great thing is that this is just before Easter weekend. We're recording this, and big weekend. And I'm telling you the truth, my wife and I listened to Crown of Thorns, which you wrote and sang, and we both, for the very first time, she just happened to go to YouTube, we're checking you out, hits it, and we had goosebumps. Both of us had goosebumps. Just beautiful. Just a beautiful song.
Well, thank you very much. I remember writing that song, and I rewrote the lyrics. I wrote the lyrics down, and I just didn't sit right to me. And I thought, no, I'm going to tell it from a point of view of everything that happened under a crown. And how I got the idea was I was watching an A&E documentary, and it was about the crowns of England. And it talked about they were just getting bigger and bigger and more jewels and more priceless. And I thought, what was the most priceless crown ever worn? Crown of Thorns, bought the soul of every man.
Yeah. What's Easter mean to you and your family?
Easter is probably the most important time of year for me. It means everything. It means absolutely everything. And Good Friday, Easter Sunday, it's hard to put it into words. I'm very, very thankful for what Christ has done for me.
Yeah. And
Besides all the food.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't get into that much anymore. But
Did you ever watch Mel Gibson's The Passion?
I did. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
I have a tough time with it in some spots.
Most people do.
Yeah.
It's the only movie, everybody says the same thing, the only movie everybody ever watched, and there was complete silence as everybody left the theater.
Yeah. Stunning.
Ray, I want to thank you so much for
Yeah,
letting
you're
us come down to your place in your studio.
Hang
Taking the
with
time.
ya.
Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Would you mind taking us out?
Yeah, I'll
Play
play you a
us
new
out.
song, so new that I even got to look at the words. How's that?
Awesome. We love that.
This is the song, How Does a Heart Break?
Thought he had it all figured out. No more mysteries to haunt me, or sad scenes to edit out. Everything just seemed to fall in line. No plans to change direction till you walked in my life. I used to pride myself to know where I was going. I was invincible and impervious to pain. But you struck a blow to this boat that I was rowing, and I'm sinking in the questions that my mind cannot explain. How does the world turn? What makes a heart yearn? Why do the stars shine every night at the right time? Whenever I think of you, tell me why I feel so blue. How does a heart break a million miles away? Can broken words across the waves sow such seeds of confusion and all reason to decay? What heart could resist to be unwound? Against perfect love there's no defenses, all weapons are laid down. Now here I go, chasing phantoms across the ocean, with my heart labeled fragile and my sanity unclear. Trusting the Father of lights, cause I can't trust my emotions. Praying I make it just in time before the final act is here. How does the world turn? What makes a heart yearn? Why do the stars shine every night at the right time? Whenever I think of you, tell me why I feel so blue.
How does a heart break a million miles away? And how does the world turn? Oh, what makes a heart yearn? Why do the stars shine every night at the right time? Whenever I think of you, tell me why I feel so blue. How does a heart break a million miles away? How does a heart break a million miles away?